G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined by Paul and Algred. How you guys doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Doing good.
Pin my colours to the wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys both dressing me up, or dressing yourselves up and making me look dressed down in my little hoodie.
Well, it's for us. We're coming towards the end of semesters and finals and such like that. So we've got.
That's right. It's
I've just realised you two are
celebration time.
I just realised you guys are opposite colours though too. You're purple and he's orange. But anyway.
well, Argo.
Yes,
is the Argo colors.
And Paul's just sexually frustrated. That's fine. That's all right.
I'm just royal. I'm just royal.
Oh, right. Okay. King Henry.
Yeah.
Right. So today we've got what is it? Let me try and remember this. ARGO MISC Crusader, or no CNOU, or Crusader. What is it? Consolidated Outland.
Crusader. Consolidated Outlands. Yeah.
Yeah. So AMCC. And yeah. So there's a selection of ships on today, and it's kind of interesting. It's a little thinner than I thought it was going to be because I was expecting things like the Pioneer and stuff, but then I've realised as we've gone through the sale, they're not really military-based ships, and that's why they haven't popped up. So yeah, I'll flick straight over to the browser and we'll start going through our recommendations for today. So I guess straight off the bat, you've got MISC and today's Warbond upgrade special, and I think that's a really popular choice at the moment.
It's a good choice.
Yeah, MISC is very meta at the moment.
It is a good choice. It is the limited ship of a MISC range. You can never get, of a freelancer range. You can never get it usually. So,
and I think they know it's going to be. They know it's going to be popular.
Mm-hmm. And as a missile boat, it's preeminent for its size. The Connie was always sold as that, but the Connie's useless in terms of it's only got size 1 and size 2, which can't be changed. Yeah. This has that same versatility that Cutlass has, but in spades. It looks good. If you're after a missile boat, Connie or a MISC.
Yeah, and just remember, if you don't want if you don't want to use cash with like a full amount of cash, you can go to a ship just underneath. So you could go, like, say, the Freelancer. So if you're upgrading for something like an Avenger Titan or whatever, you can go with credits up to something like a Freelancer that's every day available, and then go from a Freelancer to a Freelancer MISC with cash. So yeah, you can crossbow it. Honestly, I know kind of what the rest of you are going to say about the rest of the MISC lineup, but we've got them here, so I'll just let you, Paul or Algred, chip in Tana.
MISC is my baby, so like it's my secret love behind Drake. I have weird relationships when it comes to ships.
You like that does prove you're weird.
I like them dirty in both ways. So the Tana is impressive.
Yep. I don't know what I'm just seeing this and I'm going, oh.
The Tana is impressive, but still not worth $75.
Yeah.
That's a 325A right there, and you don't have to like get it on special sale. You can find it all the time. She still has the wing wobble problem. I will say that if you're looking, I would almost suggest it as an upgrade to the Avenger.
Yep.
Because it's only slightly more expensive.
Yep.
It comes with a weapons rack, which the Avenger doesn't come with, and a bed.
Yep.
And it comes with missiles, as many missiles as the Cutlass does.
Yep.
Many people don't realize that it now has as many size 2 missiles as the Cutlass does. Yep. It's its own missile boat, and it has some serious firepower to boot. So it is a great ship for those solo players who want to do a little combat in space and a little combat on the ground.
It's definitely. I was just going to add, it's definitely the best Reliant in my book, because as you said, it does a little bit of everything, and just the fact that it's got 2 SCU of cargo and all,
it
and all
even
those
has
other
an
things.
SCU of cargo, which is ridiculous,
which is insane. There's so many ships that just could use a tiny little bit of cargo and it would make them so much better, and they gave it to this. And I think this is it's one of those few combat ships that also has a little bit of jack of all trades about it. And as we know, the best ships, especially the starting ones, are the ones that have multiple functions, and this is one of those.
And this is also a ship that does have a second seat, so
yes,
you can actually use it as a.
I think the big downside to the Reliant series for me is just that it's a very large profile when it's folded out, and it's a lot easier to hit than people realize. Like, it is thin from the front, but most of the time when you see the ship, it's this giant ass wing, and so I just think it's easier to shoot. But
It is. Its profile is a problem. But as for what it's designed for, if that's what you're looking to do, if you are the gung ho, grab a gun, go down, do some FPS, then pop it in, go do some quick flight, combat, there's literally no better ship. It is the best ship for that.
And it's got a cool factor too, doesn't it? That rotating thing is pretty unique.
Yep.
So the
it's
Razor,
not a racer though. Never good as a racer though, because it just doesn't go through those race rings.
So the Razor XL is kind of a real niche. I think it'll find its niche as a scout ship in the end, along at the when it's all said and done. But isn't it an super niche ship?
Well, isn't this the EX version? That's the stealth version.
It's the stealth version. So I think it'll find like just a scout ship that'll zoom in, find stuff, and get the hell out. And it is military based. That's what it was made for. Yep. So I see it as a scout ship.
It's the advocacy. So it's it's essentially like a cop car. It's a stealthy cop car. So.
All right, well, that's where I think it'll land. Do you think it'll land similar to that, or do you think it'll land somewhere different? In the end of the day, like when game comes through,
I could see it being a jump ship. So you use this to go ahead of because it's small. If you ever try to fight a Razor, they're small, they're really tiny. They're basically like a Formula One racer without wheels.
Yeah.
So an IndyCar without rigging. They're fast, they're zippy, they're hard to hit. So having a stealth version that can go ahead of your fleets for jumps, so to just get out the other end to make sure you're not flying into a trap, or if you are flying into a trap, to get ready for it.
Sorry, just going to check. That's not scouting, because I think that's scouting. I think we're on the same page.
No, it is scouting. No, we are. But I mean. But what I'm saying is, like, I could see it specifically for jump scouting. I don't necessarily see it for like combat scouting.
No. So what I was envisioning, like, it goes in and has a peek at an installation or something like that, or some kind of ground target or something like that.
Possibly. Yeah. But I could see better ships for that in the same price range. Because at that price range, you're looking at like
solo and speed and stealth is pretty kind of cool, and I think that's what I see it like. Just quickly get in, have a quick view, and get the hell out before they even realize it's there. We're all going to be on the same page for the Gemini. The Starfarer is in a really bad place at the moment.
She fell from grace.
Yeah, she did fall from grace, but I've been actually thinking that she's not actually a refueler. We've always been looking at the Starfarer as being the refueler, but I actually think she's more than that.
Let's pass on that. That's another show, Algred. That's too deep to get into.
But it does possibly give her a little bit more value than we've been crediting her.
The Gemini is not the value, though, because the Gemini doesn't give you anything specifically different from. I think it gives you missile or torpedoes. Is what it gives you.
It does give you torpedoes in the nose instead of the
fuel scoop.
Fuel scoop. It does give you larger man turret at the top and 2 larger turrets at the back, so you get Panthers instead of size 2.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be buying a Starfarer for combat.
Exactly.
But
you buy it for the armor if you buy the Gemini.
Anyway,
all right, I'm going to make you move on. Paint jobs for today. These are the only paint jobs for today. I think the black ones are going to be fairly popular, to be honest, and I think they kind of missed the mark. There is this kind of slightly camo Storm Surge one, but I think the black one's going to be the popular one. What do you guys think about the two skins? I'm not into paint jobs at all personally myself, but
black one's better than the Storm Surge. I like the idea of the Storm Surge, but they need to have more civilian Merchant Marine style camo, which they haven't done. They're going for it, and I don't think it missed the mark. So
I'm very impressed with the skins as general. Like the ones that we saw coming out as bugs and stuff were cooler than these. And I'm talking about someone that spent a lot of money in games on skins in the past. I'm just very unimpressed with the skins that they've released myself.
What's surprising is the black, which we think will probably be more popular, is also the cheapest.
Yes, that's So we were talking a little bit before the show, and I'll let Paul take this one, because Paul, you kind of said it really well when I'm not a recommender of this ship, because I kind of go for the Avenger Titan, but you kind of say what you're going to say.
So the key with the Delta is for a very specific person. It's likely for the kind of person who would have bought the Mustang over the Aurora for the very beginning for the same reasons. The Delta is a purebred combat ship. She is designed from top to bottom to fight. And the thing about the Avenger is that it has some flexibility to it, but as a result, it's not as nimble. It's bigger. It doesn't have armor, whereas the Delta does come stock with armor. It has a little bit of stealth capabilities. Those missile pods are nasty when they hit, because they go straight through shields. They don't impact shields. They count kind of like ballistic weapons. So they have shield pen and just impact on the hull instantly. They've got a lot of firepower. So if you are somebody who wants to be a combat pilot, wants to be a dogfighter, you don't have the money for the Gladius or the dogfighters that are in the higher range, and you do have no desire to do any kind of trading, no desire to do any kind of like box missions. Say you want to be, like a bounty hunter, this kind of ship is that ship. It is designed from the ground up to be mean and nasty. And I have seen plenty of experienced players who will rip apart better ships in a good Delta.
Yeah.
They're just really, really good ships.
So, Algred, just to summarize, the way I'd word it is you're giving up flexibility of the Titan for something like, say, pure combat. Would you agree?
Yeah. For me, it's clearly that pure focus combat ship. It's really is for a niche position. If you're going for that, you're really just going for fight.
All right.
And that's not bad.
Algred, tell us about these and who are they for, the Argos? Because I think all three of these fall under our Sell Your Fighters mantra. So these for me are like support ships for someone that has something like an Idris or something. So would you tend to agree with that, or who are they for in your book?
If you have an Idris, you already have the ARGO MPVU.
Also, no one needs them, so we can just kidding.
Right. If you have a javelin, you already have the ARGO MPVU 1P personnel.
Yep.
These are the utility ships for picking up stranded pilots. So the cargo version is actually the version they use for picking up stranded fighter pilots in the lore, and also doing.
It has one jump
transfers.
seat.
Yep.
The other version is literally carrying the Javelin's escape pod, which is why it's an 8-person vehicle.
Yeah.
The idea of these was they had a cab with the box that went on the back, and there were various boxes that could go on.
So you would say, though, for most people, all three of these ships would be owning game.
Oh, most people. If the only value for this ship is if you've got it with LTI, it becomes an LTI token.
Yeah.
For the ARGO MPVU, certainly, if you're someone who wants to get into search and rescue, then these are the types of ships you want in your fleet.
Yeah,
but I think buying game.
I think the SR... I was going to say, I think the SRV would probably be good for someone that has like a Crucible or a Vulcan or something like that. I can see that kind of merging with that, being able to tow people and stuff like that. But again, for me, it's an earning game. Paul?
I agree. Though I can see the SRV being valuable to someone who wants to do the repair stuff, just because I can also see there being lots of missions for someone like the SRV where you have a stranded pilot or a player pilot who's stranded and they're out of quantum, but you have quantum, because the way that they put this is that you basically can quantum tow people, which is like short of a Crucible. You don't have that, and Crucibles are like what? Well, like $100, $200 more than this.
Yeah,
so.
Even with a Crucible, though, just to give me a example that might come out, you get to a planet and there's a down ship. It's cheaper to send the SLV down and bring the ship up than take the Crucible down.
Well, we assume.
We're assuming, but that's a pretty big... I'm pretty sure that'll be the case.
And they can also work together, and they can also do cargo runs, because the tractor beams.
If this guy's going out and grabbing people and bringing them back to the Crucible doesn't really can be in like a central location and not have to move and be in a safe space, where this can go into danger territory, and it's easier to lose that because it's cheaper to replace.
The other thing, I've got to go back to the MPVUs, because the other thing with them is these ships are worse than a P-52. The P-52 Merlin and the Archimedes, they don't have quantum drive. And they've got weapons. These have no weapons and no quantum drive. So you actually need a bigger ship to carry them.
Yeah.
You're talking about the MPVU. Yeah.
The MPVUs, they're only valuable if you got a bigger ship and you're someone who really wants to get into that search and rescue, pick up pilots, bring them back type thing.
They do fit in the character, don't they, from memory?
I'm
trying to think of other ship that would, because I know you can get them in the.
Oh yeah, they could definitely fit inside the Carracks.
Yeah, so that's the type of size of ship, at least that size, that you would need. And again, as a secondary added ship, as soon as you're going to a second ship in your fleet, you kind of go into that still your fighter mantra, so it's an earning game. So as Algred said, the only use for them as a purchase, from my point of view, is an LTI token. Sadly. But unless you guys disagree, we'll move on.
I think you could easily use them as a comedy ship. There's plenty of people I know who own them for the sake of owning them.
I remember when they first came out, they were incredibly good at ramming other ships because they've got armor out for days. So you just ram.
I can remember when they first came out, we did an SCA night where we actually all boarded into the back of the cab with the cargo version with the doors open.
Yeah.
And we turned it into a mini gunship, all of us with guns. And
so just to clarify what Algred's saying, SCA is our org, so it was an org night. But yeah, I do remember that.
And we did that, and we had all of us in the MPV UC and using it like a gunship.
Now, at time of recording, the Crusader A2 is already sold out of the upgrades. They're already all gone. I opened this.
That's okay, though.
Yeah, I've opened this as soon as the sale went live and not refreshed the page, so we've been able to keep that. But that is sold out. But you can still buy the Warbond. But we do not recommend this ship. It is really overpriced for what it is, and not being able to take the bombs out and use it as a normal cargo ship. To put it in perspective, the bomb modules are so close together that you can't even fit a cyclone between the gap. So basically, you can't take any vehicles, so it loses the ability to take vehicles, has a little bit of cargo in replace of bombs, and yes, it does gain other things like extra guns and that. But there are other ships that, like, what you're really getting is this mother of all bombs. You're buying a massive bomb ship. So when you're going in, you're losing all this other functionality just to gain those bombs. And for me, it's an earning game because I guarantee it will not be worth what they are charging. And it's kind of the similar problem with the Hammerhead, where they're charging you for the rule of cool. Your guys' thoughts on that? Well, I know what Algred's are because we've done a whole episode on it. But yeah, Algred, you agree with me, or?
I dislike the A2 because it takes away the functionality of the Hercules. The key thing of a Hercules is drive on, drive off. Be able to drive through. This dies with that.
Also dies with as a hangar, because those who want to use it as a hangar module, or like as a pocket carrier, it loses its ability.
Yeah, it loses that ability as a fly through pocket carrier. It loses the ability. It just loses so much to gain that mother of all bombs. And when they brought it out, the really key thing that told you they were selling it for the bomb is they said, and this bomb will not fit in the Retaliator.
Yeah, 100%.
And that was like, yeah, you're just selling it for the bombs. And from memory, wasn't the bomber version of the Hercules kind of a last minute thought like thing? It was almost
it felt
done, and they said, oh, let's make a bomber version.
Yeah, that was a rumor that was flying around at the time.
So
what we would probably recommend if you do want a Hercules is one of these two. I was actually surprised to see the C2 in a military sale. I don't know about you two, but I do tend to lead a little bit more towards the M2 because of the additional armor, and it's a combat. Well, it just makes sense to me if you're going into combat, because that's what they sell this ship as. You'd want the armor, but I guess if you want the cheaper and just want to do cargo runs and happen to want to drop friendly vehicles off, you could go for the C2. But again, looking at what happened with the Starfarer and the Starfarer Gemini, the way the armor's explained is going down to planet, you'll have no problem with the two ships. But as you come up, the M2's got more armor, so it just can't carry as much as it leaves planet. But in most cases, you're delivering to places and not picking up from places. So I guess that kind of limits the M2 to kind of refilling its space stations or less cargo taking off a planet, but you gain all that extra armor that you can then also use in combat. So I think, in my opinion, I think the M2 is a bit more flexible than the C2, but you guys correct me if you think I'm wrong.
But then looking at the price difference?
It is a bit, well, again, Australian pricing, so it looks skewed, but I think it's about $50 difference, isn't it, from memory? Paul's the American.
Yeah, it's 360 C2, and then it's the M2 is 480.
Oh, that is quite a bit of difference.
Well,
yeah, okay, yeah. So I guess you got to weigh that up.
So at that price, if you're trying to save your pennies,
yeah,
and you want this, you go for C2.
Yeah.
The downside is if you take it into a combat zone, you're less likely to come out unscathed.
Yeah.
With the M2, paying premium price, but you're getting the armor, which will give you that ability to survive in a combat zone.
Yeah.
Better. So it's more forward drop ship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so yeah, kind of what I said. You get because you're getting that more armor, it just gives you a bit more flexibility because you can do combat on the weekend and cargo during the week type of thing. So yeah. Again, you have to work that up on a person per person basis. But like if there was no money involved, you'd clearly go for the M2. But yeah, I think the real winner here though today, and I think we'll all agree on this, is the Mercury Star-Runner, especially with the cool stuff we've heard about now being able to take the rover and stuff like that. That would probably be my top recommendation today. You guys, your thoughts on the Star-Runner?
Rover means more cargo space. Because if you don't have a rover, that area is going to be turned into a cargo bay area, and even if it's not, then you've got extra spaces you can throw boxes if you need to.
Didn't they actually say that in the ship view that they actually moved the turrets back?
Yes.
Meaning it had access to get in the cargo bay. Because when they first released it, the reason the turrets were so far back near the door was to actually stop you getting a rover inside. Because they, you can get a bike in, but we put the turret there so you can't get a rover in. It was like.
Yeah. So I think
but she also got thicker in the back.
Yeah.
So they increased her size a little bit. So as a result, I can't not recommend that high enough. It is if you're the kind of person who enjoys a freelancer and you wanted something that's more than a freelancer but slightly less than a Connie.
I don't think it's kind of less than a Connie. I think it's balanced in a different way. So I think the combat,
I'm talking about its cargo. Is what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I actually think that it is the Connie. It's the reworked Connie to make it the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, it's definitely more Millennium Falcon based because it's that like if you think of the original lore of the Millennium Falcon, it's a cargo based ship, and it's not really combat focused, and that's what this is. Where the Connie is a lot more combat focused. I've seen them on par of each other. They're like very similar to each other, but one's gone very combat skewed, where the other has gone smaller and more combat, more sleek. But it's got less guns. And if you think about the turret top and bottom, that's the same thing as the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, well, they put that in because it was, I think, the Connie rework and giving you that Millennium Falcon,
It's even got the little hollow table, doesn't it?
Yep.
But it's also a better living area than a Connie. It's got that interior kind of worked out better.
She's fast. She's got 96 units of cargo, which is nuts.
In fact, that's the same as a Connie.
Yeah.
So she's a Connie. I mean, she's the Connie you've always wanted.
Yeah.
And now that she's getting bigger too, so she's going to add probably. I wouldn't be surprised if the cargo capacity went up to 100 to 120.
I hope not. I really hope they don't.
Yeah, I think keeping it the same as the Connie is important because I think that means the Connie has the combat flexibility and can start to go into dangerous space where this has to kind of stay in safe space. I think that's important because it makes them it differentiates them heaps.
Well, the issue is more if you're making areas larger for like a rover. They're going to increase the cargo capacity just by naturally. If they don't, well,
because it's 96 SCU of cargo. That's exactly the same as a Connie. The Connie can take the Ursa rover. The problem that was actually stopping this ship take rovers in the past was the position of those turrets and the turret access point. You remove that so you can get the vehicle in. And you can get a vehicle in. And even at the beginning, you looked at the cargo space and you could say, I could get a vehicle in there apart from this turret access point.
Yeah.
Because it was using the same damn access point that the Connie uses to get in the turrets. I think
it might have changed now too, but originally this thing was able to land on a small landing pad too, which gives that another advantage over the Connie because the Connie moved from a medium to a large.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, this could technically have gone through smaller jump points and now it's got the rover as well. Like that's another added benefit. I think it almost takes a niche above the Connie now because it can take the rover.
I think it is above. I think it is the Connie
original concept. Yeah,
she's the new Connie. Yeah. She's the new Connie. Is what it is.
It's the new poster child of Star Citizen. But I really hope they don't increase the cargo, because if they increase the cargo, it's going to cop the same problem the Connie got when they increased the cargo. And what happened to the Connie? She grew in size. When she grew in size, she inherited the flight mechanics of a large ship.
Yeah,
and didn't inherit any of the other stuff. And that killed the Connie.
The Connie's in such a bad place right now. You just don't want anything else to tread on the head of the Connie. And then we've got that news probably about a week ago now that they're not going to do a rework on the Connie either, which is kind of sad because quite honestly everyone's crying out for it. So we'll see how that goes. And that is the end of today's sale.
There is two that I would not recommend, that I would highly not recommend, which is the Aries. They are
we didn't talk about the Aries. My bad. Sorry.
No.
Totally forgot about that.
We don't recommend it.
Actually, when we talk, I actually, for long-time viewers, I do want to state, one of the big things I missed in Sell Your Fighters 2.0 is I really forgot to talk about this ship. This is one of those few ships that break the mold of the sell everything under $200 type of mantra thing. This is a fighter. It is going to be, like, even Algred and I were talking about this before the show, it's going to be really OP at what it does, but its weakness is going to be other fighters. So you need to know that, like, if you really want to kill something, you can kill it, but then you're going to die. It just really breaks that mantra. It's very overpriced for what it is in my book. But yeah, if you want to kill shit,
and I think don't believe the hype that it will take out capital ships by itself.
No. I think you'll need a fleet of them. I still think
you get a fleet of these, and with their big gun, they'll take out capital ships, but one by itself is not going to do a David and Goliath.
You'd have to be so good at dodging
unless you
turrets.
Catch that capital ship with the shields down and the bridge crew standing there waving so you can blow them up. Yeah.
Or you get that miracle shot and it goes straight through, and as you said, So what was the other one that you don't recommend, Paul? You said or is that just both Aries?
Both of those Aries I wouldn't recommend. And personally, when it comes to the Hercules, I would recommend the C2 over the M2.
Yep.
But it really depends on your style. Like you guys said, if you want the armor to drop down, then the armor is then you can get the armor. But I don't think it's worth that $100.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards that myself. Yes.
The thing about Crusader in general is again, and this is something, as a lore guy, and I'm sure Algred will agree with me, is that they tend to have lore guide everything they do. It's the basis and the bottom of everything they work from.
Yeah.
And Crusader as a company is built around rugged simplicity.
Yeah.
So I imagine that the repair and rearm and refuel costs of the Crusader series ships will be low. And it'll be harder to kill. So the actual difference between the M2 and the C2 will be the C2 you can land just off the combat area and drop off supplies, whereas the M2 you can drop on top of a tank and drop off supplies and fly away. Yeah. That's the only difference. So and for $100, and you really want that heavy lift cargo capacity or a pocket carrier, and just get the C2.
To go back to the MISC, like when you were looking when the old Starfarer, I'd have recommended going the Gemini over the regular, just because you got that extra armor.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, because the price difference just wasn't so big. But here,
it's a lot bigger.
The price difference is so significant that I would recommend the C2 over the M2, even if the M2 was that better ship.
I will add, though, that's just our speculation. Until we eventually finally see these in games, there's no way to fully tell how they're going to end up balancing stuff. But again, for the price difference, though, when the ship costs 300, that's a third of the other ship, isn't it? So yeah. All right, so there's our recommendations for today. Got a couple of differing opinions across the board, which is always a good thing to see, because that lets people make up their own minds. I'll just quickly flick us back to this one. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we sign off? No. He's been Algred in the purple.
Argo Al.
He's been Sexually Frustrated Astropub. What's that thing with the this guy? You know, that you look like that. Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah, this guy. Yeah. And I've been executed.
Paul's frustrated because he's not behind a bar.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get you a really good in-game screenshot. I think.
Give me
behind
alcohol.
The bar.
I need alcohol.
It's too early in the morning for alcohol here.
Yeah, so, hey, that wouldn't stop me. All right, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Okay. God bless and be well.